you have these legs that are not going to come in the box anymore. We're not going to send them anymore. Nobody's using them. What they are for is if you put in a commercial kitchen, let's say, and you didn't want to mount it on the wall, you can put the legs on it and get it 6 inches off the floor so you can mop underneath it, clean underneath it. Wall mounting bracket, 18 inches long, so if your studs are 16 inches on center, you can hit the lags with lag bolts to hold it in place. Doesn't have to be fire rated sheetrock unless that's what your code requires, because we're zero clearance to combustibles on the back. All right. Condensate T, instruction manual, relief valve. We give you the hardware if you're in concrete. If you want to drill the holes in the concrete, we give you the mollies for that. Your drain, your conversion kit, screens for the venting, and your sticker to convert it. All come in the box. Now the drain. The drain has gone through a couple changes for guys that put these in. We used to have a steel drain like this. All right, we switched to a plastic drain. We didn't do that as a cost-cutting measure. It's not what we did. We didn't try to cheapen up the product. The reason we did it was because guys weren't reading instructions. They were taking 9 turns of Teflon tape on here and cranking it into the machine. On our GE100, the housing this goes into is plastic. So when they crank it in with the pipe wrench, they break the plastic on the inside, and now they have cold water leaking inside the machine. You don't need Teflon tear pipe dope because of the O-ring. Just screw it all the way in by hand. It doesn't matter if it's pointing up. Okay, with this machine totally full of water, I can take 3 complete turns of this and it will not leak. So tighten it by hand. The reason we don't want to have it with a wrench is there's a screen behind here. If you've got to service that screen, you don't have to keep taking off the pipe wrench every time. If you just have it hand tight like that, you can just pull it out, pull the screen out, clean it, put it back in, screw it back into the machine. So we switched to the plastic, thinking, okay, that'll solve that problem. Guys don't use pipe wrenches anymore. We were wrong. Now they just break the brass off the plastic when they put the pipe wrench on the plastic. So we finally waved the white flag and said, okay, you guys win. We're going back to steel. We're changing the body in the 100 to steel instead of plastic, like the 145, the 195, but please don't put pipe dope on these, or Teflon tape. It's not needed. Okay. Even the plastic ones, I haven't seen any come through broken or didn't work. Okay, so they work fine because you don't use them much anyway. But you're going to see the steel ones coming back in the box. Water connections off top machine are all 3/4 stainless steel IPS female thread. Remember, stainless steel is very sharp. You sell Blue Monster tape here, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything stainless steel, use Blue Monster tape. Anybody's product. It doesn't cut. Regular white Teflon tape will cut on stainless steel as you tighten it in there, and over time you have water droplets coming out the top of the machine and settling on top of the fitting. It'll take some time, but it'll happen. So just get a roll of that Blue Monster. It really works well. Okay? That's what you see is on my machine right there. We'd love to see unions and ball valves in the hot and the cold. You don't need isolation valve kits. You don't need boiler drains. But the union and ball valves make it really simple for a couple reasons. Serviceability. Let's say, heaven forbid, you had to change that machine out. If you have unions on your water and unions on your gas line, it's a 30-minute deal, isn't it, Bill?
Yep. Living proof.
Okay? Honestly, it's that quick to change a machine out if you have unions on both sides. So use the unions, that's fine. This is the most important thing. No galvanized fittings, period, on top of this machine. No nipples, no unions, no galvanized dielectric unions, nothing galvanized. It avoid the warranty of the product, and that's why. Okay, this machine was 3 months old when they pulled it back because it failed, and they pulled it back to Texas. Had a galvanized nipple at the top, had a galvanized union. Now, granted, it wasn't a dielectric union, it was a galvanized union, but here's the problem. Stainless steel is neutral. It's not affected by their steels. They put a galvanized nipple in there with a union and put the copper on top of the galvanized, and it brought the galvanized union out. There's a lot of cities that still have galvanized piping coming into the house. If you have galvanized piping coming in the house, protect the machine. Yes, we have a screen on there that'll catch the heavy chunks coming in. So does Renai, so does Takagi, so does Naritz. But if you have a lot of scale coming off that, you don't want to have to keep going back there and keep cleaning off that screen. So protect it somehow. Put a Y strainer in the line to catch some of the heavy ends. And now companies like Calefi actually make a magnetic filter that you can put in the system that'll grab that stuff before it gets to the machine. The condensate T we give you a T to keep an air gap so the condensate will flow. When these machines first came out, they had a hose that just screwed onto the fitting and went into the condensate trap or condensate pump. Well, if you put that hose into the water without the T, create a vacuum and suck the condensate back in the machine so it can flood the machine. The T keeps the machine flowing. And don't put any fittings. A lot of guys will take a piece of PVC or CPVC, a 6-inch piece, and glue the top of the T. You don't want to do that either. Because we want to make sure that if the water does back up, it can flow out of the top of the T before it floods the machine. That's our neutralizer. Again, the only advantage to our neutralizer, seriously, is that it can be horizontal or vertical. Most can only be installed horizontally. So if you had an application where you had to put one vertically, ours works. That's a trap inside there, so it can be worked for vertical or horizontal applications. But other than that, you do not have to use ours. Okay?